It's the Rundown, Monday, September 23rd, brought to you by High Noon. Tell them, Big Ev.
Shout out High Noon. It's time to load up the ice and break out the oversized long games because the High Noon End Zone Pack is here. It includes limited edition fan favorites like pear, cranberry, along with black cherry and grapefruit. The High Noon End Zone Pack is a fall exclusive, which means it's here for a good time, not a long time. Visit highnoonspirits.com before your next tailgate to find a pack near you. Shout out High Noon.
It's an NFL Monday. Obviously, we'll go around the league. I was chilling. There's nothing better than
When's the last time you think the Giants and Jets both won in a week? It's probably a long
Dude,
time.
There's a lot of those like floating around. Like, when was the last time the Mets and Jets and Giants won?
And probably Yankees too. Like,
yeah,
they won too.
I mean, right now everything is kind of cooking in New York. The Yankees have they clinched? They've almost clinched.
If they win one more game.
We have one. Magic number's one for the division.
The Mets are on the precipice. The Jets, did their thing. The Giants stink, but they won.
Hey.
And then you got the Liberty, I guess. People are a little jacked up about that.
Are we? We're jacked up?
I don't know.
Are we? I didn't know they were in it. All right.
Throw them in there.
I
saw it. It was funny because it was a carousel on Instagram where I was like scrolling through, and they were like, the Knicks are about to start, and then like the last picture was Sabrina Ionescu, and I was like, okay, whatever.
Maybe we are
She has her own shoes.
Yeah, listen, she is one of the G's out there. So I say there's nothing better, especially as a team, a fan of a franchise that often, does not win. When you win on a Thursday in big fashion the way they did,
Yeah.
like I didn't even consider the possibility that the Jets could blow out the Patriots on primetime television, like ever. And for them to do it that way, and then you could just chill all day Sunday, like you
Talk shit about other teams.
Yeah, you're doing.
Like, we already
you
won.
put your bets in. You're just eating food. No stress at all. Oh, beautiful.
Yep.
One thing I do got to say, though, about Patriots fans, it's making me a little upset, and this even as a Giants fan, that has no real skin in this game. They're a little too. They were the one. There's a hammer and nail situation, just life. They were the hammer for 2 decades. All of a sudden, they're the nail, and now they act like they don't care anymore.
Well, you know what?
I've seen too many Patriots fans.
The
like,
worst when
there's
they
Jets
do
fans
that.
like talking shit, and Patriots fans being like, "Why are Jets fans being so mean to me?" I'm like, "What are you talking? What are you talking about?
Yeah. Well, so
You were a scumbag for 20 years, like beating their heads.
That's it.
Now all of a sudden the tides are turning. You're like, "Oh, we don't really care." Like, what do you mean? Like, it's just football.
All teams do that.
What are you talking about?
They all like good teams that dominate for a while. They're like, well, it doesn't matter. We've done
won.
that. It's like,
Yeah.
well,
And
no,
theirs
this
is
is
so
what we're doing
extreme
now.
of dominance, where like if
Yeah.
you're like someone who's like about to be 30 years old, like all you know is good until last 2-3 years. So they're like, "Oh, why are you being like this?"
On KFC Radio, he was like, right now, it's almost funny to get beat as bad as we did because it's like, oh my God, I've never experienced this before. But he was like, if it were to happen for 20 more years, I would be a fucking psychopath.
Exactly.
So I was like, all right, at least you're understanding. It's not going to happen overnight.
If it happens like the next year or two,
I was gonna say,
all right.
forget about 20 years. You have a few showdowns with your anybody. If it's like your in division rival or you lose some in an embarrassing fashion, that happens to you a couple years in a row. All of a sudden, yes, you have a little chance.
Also, especially
They fade away.
if like the Jets or the Bills were able to like get over the top, like win a Super Bowl,
right.
even get to one,
and
probably
then just
would
rub
be
it
enough.
in your
Yeah.
fucking face.
That moron also took Jacoby Brissett MVP.
Oh, dude, he came in. He goes.
They build casinos of those kind of bets.
He said his vision was the Patriots were going to be. It was a point in the game in week 2 where like the Pats were up and the Jets were down, and he was like, it's going to be Patriots 2-0, Jets 0-2, with us having a chance to like legitimately end their division chances on week 3. And I put in an MVP bet for Jacoby Brissett. I was like, how did all that work out for you, you dumb motherfucker?
That's how entitled they are, though.
Yeah.
Well,
they think that they just have a quarterback that's going to be really good.
That was not like to be funny or
No.
anything. He was like, this is how it's going to work because it always does. No, motherfucker.
I was going to say, look at Dave with Michigan and Ohio State. Ohio State dominated them for
Long time.
years.
Yeah, they won like
Then
18 out of
2 years
19.
of Michigan, and
And
all
it's
it takes.
all,
Is
yeah,
the king.
yeah.
That's all it takes. Yeah.
Yep, yeah. I mean, also it's
Yeah, but
it's
they
different
won
if you,
too, yeah.
If you, like at my age now, it's different. Like you can't. It's not gonna hurt as much. Like I want them to hurt. But they
Yes.
can't because when you're like 40 or whatever, you're like, you just don't care as much. You have kids, you have all these responsibilities. It's like you had your prime years of winning, and I want it to hurt as bad as you felt good.
Yeah.
And it's hard to make them feel that.
Fortunately, it's like 12-year-old Patriots fans right now that are.
Yeah, I know. But you know what? Fuck those kids. I want to be like, good. Feel this pain because your father never did.
No, but it's going to be what Dave said. Like they're all just going to be like Patrick Mahomes fans.
Yep, they just
Like he was
move
in
on to
Boston.
next.
The 15-year-olds on their phones, they have Mahomes as their lock screen.
Yep, those little fucking pricks. But I mean, for me, as far as having the Mets and Jets right now, the Mets are I think the funnest team in baseball. The rest of you bums are all just fucking boring.
Oh yeah, that's gonna end well for you. Yeah, it's gonna be good. You guys on the stream are really gonna have happy times in there.
That's going to be that wild card stream is going to be incredible.
Who will they?
and because the
wound up to play
Yankees
right
are going to
now?
clinch, you'll have it to yourselves at least that first series.
Yeah, Yankees are gonna knock.
We won't
Who
be there.
Do you know who the Mets would be playing right now?
Well, no, because it's all so close. It's all like there really could be a chance that they're not gonna get the first wild card. San Diego would have to like lose out.
So probably like there's a good chance they could play the Dodgers probably no, because Phillies are going to bye. So I guess it'll be the 3. So who's the other, like the Brewers maybe?
Yeah, and they play the Brewers to end the season. So I don't know. It's weird for me. If you take the 2022 team, which was like 10 games better than this team, I feel way better about this squad, because like that and it's almost like the Phillies and Mets have like flipped in a way, because in 22 it was like we were just begging for the season to end. Like, let's just get to the end of the season. I wish it ended today, and then we would win the division, and we kind of like limped there. Whereas this is like you're coming in fucking hot.
Yeah.
They got Atlanta tomorrow.
It's
starting
more like
tomorrow.
the,
You got to win. Like, if you win, I think if they win 2 out of 3, it's literally over, because we have the tiebreaker. Even if we were to lose out and they were to win out, we would have the tiebreaker.
They're kind of like the Diamondbacks though last year, where like they weren't.
That's what I mean, though, and the Phillies prior to that, where it was like if the team, I genuinely, I'm starting to believe this, the team that rolls in, like the Mets have basically been playing playoff games for like a week now.
Yeah.
And these guys who are just kind of like resting players and waiting for things to heat up, I'd rather have the momentum. Like truly, in 2022, the end of the season felt like a failure because we lost the division. Whereas the Phillies, I think it was, were like popping bottles in the clubhouse, loving life. And I really think that's where the Mets are at right now. Everything's going their way.
This feels so weird.
So
talking to you about this, and it's being like, I can't
Genuine
wait
optimism.
For this.
yes,
genuine
that's
optimism.
the difference is even in 22, when they had a season, they had a series at the end of the year against the Braves that they shit the bed, and that's what fucked everything up. And going into that series, I was like, they're not going to win this. Like, they're kind of limping to the finish line. It's been a long season. I don't think they're ready. This series with the Braves, I'm like, I think they're going to win, and that is the
crazy.
worst. But that's the worst spot.
Oh, terrible.
Because I'm always a little bit
get
guarded.
hurt.
Even in the beginning of the year, I was like, fuck this team. They're not going to be good. Cancel the season. And now I'm like, I think not only am I excited for you, I think you are good and going to win, and that's when they just rip your heart out through your asshole and shove it down your throat.
I'm not like Tommy. Like I mean, Mets fans are sewer rats. I do agree with that. But like, I don't hate the Mets at all. I really don't. But they are a likable team this year.
Oh, I mean, if you hate on them,
I think Pete Alonso's got a
fan.
punchable face, but the rest of the team, I think is actually likable. But
A guy like Iglesias is like he was gifted this one extra season out of nowhere, and he's taken not taking any of it for granted. Acuna's the best Acuna in baseball. Is Luis Angel Acuna.
See
You can't deny it.
the pitching at like 3 like whatever guys are all of a sudden just lights out.
That's what
who
still
are not
scares me,
good.
though. By the way,
They're not
The
good.
playoffs, that's scary because it's just a different game.
like if you're gonna go like Peterson, Minaya, Severino, Quintana in the playoffs, dude, like that's a little scary.
Yeah.
But to even be there,
Saying those 3 names in the playoff series is
That's
crazy.
what I mean. But also, I don't know, when it was, when we had 5 fucking aces and when it was DeGrom and Scherzer and all that didn't work. So I don't know. Throw these guys out there who have this weird confidence, who are just like, fuck it, we're going to do it. The fact that they're doing it without Lindor, it's all insane.
That's all.
None of it's making any sense.
Yeah. That's why I don't question it. Just keep going.
And the Yankees, you said they're about to clinch. They need to win.
They clinched they're in the playoffs already, but they have to clinch the division this morning.
Baseball's so long. There was a period of time where I was like, oh my God, the Yankees are like the best team in baseball. Then there was a period of time where I was like, they might not make the playoffs. And then it was just
We're
like,
hot now.
They're up 6.
We've won. I think we were 11-4 our last 15.
No one's worse than those.
The Orioles have been
The
dope.
Orioles were
losing
talking
fans.
shit when we were playing them too, and like since then, the Mets have been like 12
They
and
haven't won
5,
shit.
and they're
They didn't even win a playoff game last year.
I know.
We've seen. Marty's seen the most of it because he's definitely ran his mouth even more than I have about the Orioles. I've ran it too. Their fans are just so annoying.
Yeah.
Because they listen. They have this great farm system. Good for them. A lot of their young players, Rushman, Gunnar, Cowser, these guys, they're good. but they've just acted like they last year they got swept in they won 100 games.
They
got
act like they're
swept
winning
in the first round. Now this year they're limping to the finish line, and there's a good chance they just lose the wild card round again.
Right.
Like, what are you puffing your chest out about?
Every
You've done nothing.
Orioles
Literally
fan
nothing.
has a neck beard. And they just sit there like this every night and root on this team that's a loser franchise, and they're going to keep being a loser franchise. They will never be better than the Yankees. It's just what it is. Have your farm system, good. We have the money.
They just talk shit about the Yankees too early, is what I thought. Yankees, they were bad last year. Yeah, they were bad last year.
What happened this year? We beat you by about 7 games in the division.
Yeah, easy.
That's a ton.
A rout.
Loses.
Ohtani went off for his we haven't done a rundown since that, right? That was over the weekend.
Yeah, he's got 53 steals.
Yeah, 53.
I have
didn't know
a thing
he was
right
fast.
now, man. I think we are just coming ourselves over stolen bases.
Thank you. Why is no one talking about that? They made the rules easier to steal bases.
course
Why
no
is
one
no
can
one
steal
bringing that
bases.
up?
Why? Because it's him.
Like, no one is saying that it's so much easier to steal bases with the new rules.
Ricky Henderson, I swear to God, would have 250 steals.
That's what I'm saying. Like,
Legitimately, like if you could put up 150, whatever he did back then, he would tack on 100.
what was that guy that was on? I think he was on the. What was it? Billy Hamilton.
Billy Hamilton.
Yeah,
Like he
you
would have
throw him
stole.
in there?
He would have never got caught stealing once. He would have stole if he got on base. He
Never.
would stole every base.
Some of these
second,
guys-
third, every
Just
time.
because he's such a good hitter, he's on base a
Yes,
lot.
correct.
So he can-
Right.
Correct.
It's like that's what we should be giving him credit for, which we do. It's just because it's Ohtani.
I care more about
Obviously,
that.
it's
I
good.
care more that he's hitting 300 and has 53 home runs.
I'll be honest.
Than I do that he stole
I didn't
53
know he
bases.
was like fast.
No, and you know what's crazy is it's like 53 for like 56.
Yeah.
It's like he doesn't
yeah.
ever gets
Get
thrown
out.
out. But like when you look at Acuna's season, which was like 43, 78.
Yeah,
or something.
exactly.
So there's like the numbers to it. People like it. I mean, listen, it's Lindor. My case for him for MVP would be a 30-30 thing. But it's just, and it does matter. It's like when you get in this ninth inning, you get a single and you just turn that into a double. Like
yeah.
it matters for sure. But there was such a long drought of stolen bases that now it's just like,
I wish.
I just
still
didn't-
in the, I wish he was still in the AL, just so we could have the.
the Judge Ohtani would be at each other's throats
Yeah,
over that MVP
that would be-
trophy.
Judge would win. I think 100.
He hitting, he's better in every category.
Right.
Better average, more home runs, more RBIs.
it's just this club.
He's in the field playing good outfield. It's just the stolen bases.
Yeah.
He's better at. That's it.
See, that was fun, just even hypothetically.
I know it got me riled up.
And then there's poor Bobby Witt Jr. is like, fuck this shit, dude.
He's not even
having,
close.
Yeah,
but I mean,
insane.
he's
That's
having
how crazy it is. Not even close. to
MVP
that.
caliber season,
like
easily.
one of the best of all time, and people aren't even mentioning him. Good luck for the next like 12 years.
They did for like a second when he got up. He was almost hitting like 350.
Yeah, he
people
was
were,
getting up
people
there.
were trying to make the conversation, and then people were just like, no.
Bro, I was looking at some old stats the other day of like Nomar and even Jeter a couple years where they were batting like 373. Like that just feels so long gone. Like you ain't ever gonna see that again.
You see
If
three,
you
you're
see
like,
330,
wow.
it's like holy.
Well, that's why I think what Judge is batting like 325, and he has all these power numbers.
Yeah,
like that's
yeah,
unheard of.
In this day and age, 325 to me is like the new 400.
Like he's been steady, been like since he's came back from the heater, like 320, 330, like in that
He's a
range
freak.
all year.
I don't know why he doesn't really get the Bonds treatment. The Mets do. The Mets walk him like every time, and I'm always on board with it. I would walk in a run before I let him.
Yeah.
There was a point where he was had a big stretch. He was getting walked quite a bit when he was like really on fire. When he had that month, he hit like 20 home runs in a
that Bonds
month.
level where it's like almost automatic, and I think it fucking should be.
We gotta talk about that. Arthur Blank.
Oh yeah, that was
Unbelievable.
awesome.
unreal.
Good for him.
Arthur Blank inducting himself into his own Ring of Honor is one of the all-time flexes.
That's awesome.
I had a moment when
So
I'm
cocky.
sitting in my bed watching it. I'm like, what? He's like putting on the red jacket, like I'm like, wait
Yep.
a second. I'm like, he's got to be the. I'm like almost. I'm looking around to no one. I'm like, am I the only one? Like, is it just me? This man
Now-
inducted himself into his own Ring of Honor.
Is that,
This is
that the-
insanity. This is like he's like brought to tears by his own decision. Like,
There's one man who's really done it all. It's me. Like, is this
like look at this.
so funny.
Comes with his face
Who else
on
was
it.
it? Who he did it with somebody else, right?
What, that got inducted?
Yeah, I thought it was someone else with him, which was also just fun.
I forget who. Someone put on the jacket, whether it was like work done or like some like legendary Falcons player.
Is it kind of one of those things though where it's like nobody else? Is it because people don't like him and won't do it and he had to do it himself?
Yeah,
or is
I
he
don't
just like,
know.
I'm a boss, I'm a G, I'm gonna do it myself?
He's like, it's time.
Yeah.
You don't think there could have been like another group in the Atlanta Falcons who is like, you should be in the Ring of Honor, Arthur Blank. Like, we want to award you.
Who, like his son?
Yeah, like the board. I don't know, like the
No, that's
board
what I
of
mean.
the
There
Atlanta
might be,
Falcons.
but
Somebody has to.
But also to just be like, yeah, your guys are right. I should be.
They're a franchise. They've never won a Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not. It's not like you're rewarding.
Like, what are we talking about?
An all-time great owner. They're kind of a punchline.
I
You know,
love how,
They've had some.
Like a
They've made the Super Bowl twice, I believe. They obviously should have won the last one.
Yeah, but they're.
I mean, they haven't won one.
I mean, to me, I think of like Atlanta sports. I think of the Falcons as like, that you know.
when you're that
Gotta get it
rich,
done.
like you're just not self-aware anymore. You
At
don't
all.
know what's going. Like you think that's so normal.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it's like-
yeah. Like nobody. And nobody's in your ear going, dude. It's weird to give yourself your own award.
Yeah, no, everyone's like, yes, boss.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah. You got a bunch of yes.
That hot dog looked unbelievable
But
too.
that is, all time. It is quite the flex. If you get a chance to do it, you got to do it and induct yourself into your own.
That's what. Yeah, just the last like 40 years of his life, every idea he's had, someone's like, great. That's a great
let's
idea.
do it,
Honestly,
boss.
I love
Like,
that idea.
He's probably sitting there he's like, no one's gonna put me in besides myself, so fuck it. Do you think Travis Kelce's doing too much acting and things? Or they're still 3-0 and everyone's freaking out.
I know. I mean, his numbers are really down, right?
He just
Like,
looks miserable out there. I don't know why. Like on the bench, they keep cutting to him. He does not look happy.
I'll tell you what. When you can go make $100 million elsewhere for a much easier gig, and you start to just see the blueprint, you see the matrix that it's like, hey man, I can make similar money and similar spotlight and hang out with my brother,
Yeah.
kick it with my girlfriend, and not have to be. Now it's not exactly the most competitive like winner's attitude, but I'm just saying
He's already
there's only
won,
it's
what,
only
3?
natural to have some of those thoughts, right? Where
But
you're
it's
like,
also probably like, look, I can get 8 catches in 3 games, and we still beat these.
Right.
teams.
Well,
It's
yeah.
Like I could just keep winning Super Bowls with this guy.
and you also wonder like if he does break out and he's almost like healthier, he's not as beat up. He's,
Yeah.
he does turn on the Jets like halfway through the season. It's like, we're good.
If I'm the Chiefs, I'm like, just come start playing Week 13.
Yeah, very
Don't
much
even
so.
play in the.
Well, he said before the year started he wanted to play at least like 2 more years.
Yeah.
Right.
But also, because I said to him at Pick Central, I was like, what's going to happen is he's going to have like 500 yards this year. Then we're going to look up in the AFC Championship game, he's going to have 8 catches, 95 yards, 2 touchdowns.
Yes.
And we're going to be
I'm
like,
still
oh, there's
about
Travis
this.
Kelce.
I'm about this shit. Yeah.
And then we're going to see him with Taylor winning his 4th Super Bowl.
I think it's the haircut that also makes him more miserable when he's not happy.
Yeah, it's too pretty of a haircut. He's
Yeah.
trying to be too cute with it.
I think he needs to have. If there's like a couple more games of really shit play, I think people are going to really start to talk, Taylor, and you're not focused and all that shit.
Just because they won the
he-
first 3.
Yeah, if they were losing, it would be a very different story.
Yeah.
He needs to have like a breakout game, and I think it'll all kind of go away for him.
Yeah.
I mean, the Browns have got to be absolutely despicable if they lost to the Giants. The Giants,
Giants, I don't know what you're doing here.
Bro,
The Giants'
bro.
defense is unbelievable.
the fact that you guys are still with Daniel Jones, is
Don't.
fucking. But like, I'm not saying this to just like talk shit and bullshit. Like, it's literally insane.
He's
but
sorry, he's a
he's
top 3
still-
quarterback
No.
in the NFL right now.
Like,
Numbers wise.
Hold on. He's not the guy.
and he hasn't.
What's
been
going on?
He's
for like
capable.
5 years.
I think he's
What's
he's
happened?
showing like with this, like the offensive line's better. They actually have a legitimate playmaker wide receiver for the first time, literally since Odell. I think Daniel Jones is not as bad as everyone probably makes him out to be, but he's also not good.
He needs to
he's
be
just
like
not- he's
he
just
should
not
be
good.
like a great backup for a franchise who's like, dude,
What?
He's been like
I'm already talking. I'm afraid that Malik Neighbors might be so good
If they
that
had
it might
kicker
keep Daniel
this year,
Jones
if
around.
the kicker didn't get hurt last game, we're in first place, 2-1 right
he's
now.
not.
But see, that's part. Marty's not wrong about that.
I'm not.
They should be 2-1. They botched the kicker situation. They would have won that game if they had just a functional kicker. But is this team good? I mean, they sacked Sean Watson 8 times yesterday. The defensive line is starting to look good, like that we thought with Burns and Dexter Lawrence and Thibodeau.
And so all.
I think the
this is falling
secondary
into
still
place,
is
and
bad.
You're happy that it's like Daniel Jones.
No, I'm not happy.
He's been good though.
Yeah,
Like,
but I'm
the last
saying-
two
but I'm
games.
saying,
First
like-
game he was awful. Last
like,
2 games.
You think that it's going to be different than it's been in the last 5 years?
I mean, he hasn't had a number 1 receiver in 5 years. He hasn't. His best receiver
That's
has
true.
been
That's
Darius
correct.
Slayton.
A lot of that, though, you know?
Pretty
Quarterbacks
embarrassing.
a lot of times make receivers, not the other way around.
Darius
you know?
Slayton?
I know.
I don't think he should be a one.
Even when he's good, is it like, you know, I almost think that playoff game was one of the worst things that happened to you guys.
Of course.
Because it's just,
Absolutely.
you know what I mean?
He also
You would have
had
been
a
able
shitty team-
to break
a
ties.
shitty team that beat a shitty team in the playoffs.
Yeah, and then it gives you,
happened?
you know, so
I
much
just-
slack. So then you agree.
No.
You moved on.
No.
This is
Me
the year
and Glenn have a have a group chat where we're basically 9-year-olds, and every win he gets, we text him, and he just gives us
With him? That's hilarious.
So
That's why I did
That's
this. I was
why you-
like,
okay.
No, that's why I said Marty like met him
what
at
you're
this
talking
concert. So now I'm like talk to
My friend.
to the rational Giants fan that like
Makes more sense.
doesn't care
getting
like,
chicken
if I like
bones
piss him
too.
off or not.
yeah, I was
So
gonna
I-
say you are riding Daniel Jones's dick until
I don't
it
know
falls
what you're
off.
talking
I will call it
about-
exactly how I see it with Daniel
But
Jones.
you
He's
have to
not
admit,
good,
though,
but he's played good the last 2 games.
Playing
He
good
has,
the past-
no
the
doubt.
Browns
But it's
are a
more
good
to me.
defense.
It's like it almost makes it
He's
worse.
not the guy.
Yeah.
I after a game, I already before the season started, I'm already like obviously I'm big into college football. I'm on Quinn Ewers. I'm on Carson Beck. Like that's where my eyes are for the future.
You don't want to trade for Bryce Young?
What we need to do is we win like 8 games this year. We don't get a great pick. Then we suck and we get Archie. Archie Manning will
Want
win us
another round,
another
Marty.
one. Little Archie.
I will say I also love Raiola too, but that's like 3 years down the
Yeah,
road.
we can't think about that.
Well, Jerry Jones and Jamie Foxx are still out. They're out here. They're out here scouting guys of all kinds. This is a video of Jamie Foxx and Jerry Jones is giving like the rundown on these prospects, I guess. You know, their height, their weight, and then he just starts talking about their 8.5-inch dicks. It is something.
He's like also like, look at this guy.
He's
You know?
leaning in. Yeah. Jerry Jones has always, to me, one of the best moments in like sports humor history is his glory hole moment. Do you remember that?
No.
When he said, it's see, this is what I mean. I can't, to me, it's.
I remember it happening. It was a while. It was like 10 plus years.
Oh, yeah.
A while ago.
I actually remember when we were originally, prior to joining Sirius, we had some talks with them, and they wanted us to do like a sports Barstool type of show, and they asked me to send in a demo, and I used that because that story had just broken, so that was like the demo that I made to send to Sirius to see if there was going to be like a connection. He was talking about how he wanted to return the Cowboys to glory, and he just said glory hole, and he was like, it's time to bring us back to the glory hole. And it was, and like nobody really like cared or said anything. It was just like, that's just Jerry being Jerry. So I think he can talk about glory holes and 8.5-inch dicks. And
We need him to stay, for Giants fans, need him to stay alive for the long
he's the best thing that can happen to you.
Just keep McCarthy around. They'll
Yeah.
just keep stinking it up. Keep giving Dak
Competent
Prescott all
owner-
this money
A
and
competent
everyone else
owner would
money.
have this Cowboys team win at least.
I'll be honest though, I think a lot of people say that about the Mariners too.
But they're different though. But they're like they have no. They did nothing to get rich. They got rich because they bought the Giants.
No, but I'm just saying
like
in the sense
20s.
that the Maras will like always give the coach an extra year. Or
But we
stick
at
with
least
the
won.
quarterback.
But we've ran these last few. We've had like we've bounced coaches. Like Shermer was only there a couple years. Judge was only there a couple years.
Yeah.
McAdoo was only there a
they pulled
couple
the
years.
plug. Yeah.
We've been pulling the plug like 2-3 years. These guys have been gone.
Right. The Jamie Foxx, like the way he kind of just like cuts the video and very funny.
like-
Jamie Foxx also apparently intertwined in this Diddy situation, which is on the one hand unbelievably horrific, heinous. Homeland Security like was saying that they think this is like as bad as Epstein, if not worse, with some of the shit that they've uncovered. So that is, you know, and shout out to Cassie for having like the courage to get the ball rolling on this because she's basically the one that like started this and took him down. At the same time, some of these things, you know, the 1,000 bottles of lube came out last week, and like everyone was laughing about that.
That's the thing. We and John were saying, like, they literally, if you think about P. Diddy, it's the worst human of all time, which it should be, but everyone's laughing about this 1,000. Like, how is this 1,000 bottles of baby oil, like, in our, it's...
I wonder if that
Well,
is
it's just
like-
such an egregious thing. 'cause
No, I
like you
know,
said, like,
but it's
like
like-
Cassie, like she made it like the not funny part.
Yes.
Like she, especially the video is just like
Unbelievable.
insanity.
and the fact that that's like just
I didn't
too
even
old.
see that.
You never seen the video?
Oh, man, it's-
he's like legitimately ragdolling her. It's disgusting.
But the problem is,
disgusting.
it's the statute of limitations for assault is only 2 years. So the video is like 5 years old. So he admitted it. He apologized to it. And there's a video of him like really, really beating her up, and it just is like inadmissible.
Yeah,
it's
it's
fucking
horrible.
insanity.
But it's good that people got. I think it's good people got to see it just for the.
Yeah, then they were
'cause
like,
it makes
okay,
it,
we know.
Because even think about in the NFL. Think about how many guys have done this and no one cares. Like Ray Rice, you see it on video, you're
out.
gone.
You're done.
Like Mixon even on video in college, he punched a girl in the face, like
Yep.
straight up.
Yep.
There's a bunch of these.
Yeah.
There's not video footage. That one crazy. There's literally video footage and people don't care. But there's been a bunch of them. That
Usually
there's-
when you see it,
Tyreek Hill, there's a million people give him shit about it, but still, he's
Yep.
allowed to just like do his thing in the league.
Yeah, that is-
like once there's video footage of it, it becomes real to
Yep.
everyone.
Yep.
Yeah.
But the other headline, along with the 1,000 bottles, is now that Diddy made guys play 5-on-5 hoops naked, which is
That can't be a worse sight in history.
Shocking.
just thinking about
bouncing
things
balls.
flopping
A
around.
lot of balls are bouncing.
I mean, uncomfortable, by the way,
Yeah.
too, for you. Like, you know, anybody.
Imagine the-
You're doing a jump stop and your shit's
Imagine
just.
the rebounds.
Oh, my
the
God.
rebounds.
But I mean,
also, the freak off wasn't just an insane thing.
the thought of 5-on-5, by the way, makes it even crazier to me.
I've seen that
think-
picture before.
I think John actually said it's like when these stories first come out, right? Like when it first comes out, like P. Diddy is this weirdo, like doing all this shit.
That one, by the way, to interrupt, that is apparently that's not his house. It's like some weird hotel that has.
People
beds.
also,
near
also
the-
trying to get anything.
Everything is now Diddy. Like it's
Yeah, I got community
if
notes.
you
This is
ever
not
like,
P. Diddy's
if
backyard.
you were ever like with P. Diddy, it's like something.
You're a rapist now,
Yeah.
yeah.
But we were saying like when it first comes out, like back in the day when P. Diddy, like, oh, he's a horrible person. You're like, oh, really? You think so? Like, I don't know if he is. And then all of a sudden it's
Now
like,
it's like,
holy
oh,
shit,
yeah, no, you
he's
are
a
the fucking
bad guy.
I hope that guy gets
Keep going back to it, but I mean, Cat Williams
nailed it.
told everyone
Nailed
they thought he was crazy. They thought he was
did.
crazy.
Some of
He
these
did. That's
videos
such a
too
good point.
are there's that guy who got arrested who said like I was at a party with Diddy and like DJ Khaled was there and Rick Ross was there and everybody was fucking each other and everyone was like, yeah, okay, whatever, crazy dude. And then it's like,
Yeah. Isn't it like everyone said there ain't no party like a P. Diddy party?
Yeah.
It's
That's
Cat Williams' direct quote is P. Diddy want a party and you gotta tell him no. That was his like direct quote. You
Yes.
gotta tell him no.
Yep.
And even
Yep.
even Shannon Sharp was in there. He's like, oh God, like Cat. He's like, I'm telling you.
yeah.
What was
the
that, a
real
year ago?
No, not
Probably-
even- no. I think within the year.
The interview?
Probably about a year, maybe a little less than a year. I'm sorry. I remember I watched it after. It's like when you watch it in full after and you hadn't seen it before.
Yeah.
Just
It all
like
makes
it's
so
like
much
so
sense.
crazy because you're like putting the piece together in real time as he's saying it.
Has he said anything?
Cat Williams.
The Cat
I think he
Williams?
just might have recently was kind of like
Told you
did a little
so.
like I told you so kind of thing.
Yeah.
I mean, that interview went crazy. That had like 60 million.
I was
views.
wild.
It's like the most viewed probably like podcast of all time.
I think it actually passed Elon Musk and
Rogan.
yeah. But yeah, a lot of this shit all starts to make sense, and it's just fucking terrible, man. It's all really awful shit. But 5-on-5 hoops, naked.
That's insanity.
I mean,
Sicko.
Insanity.
if you were to make a 5-on-5 naked team, a 5-man naked team here, who would you want it to be?
Oh my God, I don't.
Marty, you're up.
John,
How about this?
John,
who would you-
I'd feel comfortable with John.
Well, he was. We talked about it on the podcast. He was like, "That sounds fun."
Yeah, I'd feel
hockey players are
because
such
he's like a guy that's like he like finds that shit funny.
Who would you not want to play against? Like I'll tell you right now, if I step
everybody.
on the court and I'm playing 5-on-5 naked and Meek Phil is there, I'm out, bro. I'm not playing naked with you. Sorry, bro. I'll play naked with a lot of these other guys first.
Meek's lounging over there.
Yeah, look. I mean,
Slammer.
if he was naked right now, oh, not doing it.
No. Ugh.
Last bit of the rundown here is brought to you by Simply Safe. Have you ever felt a sense of unease when you leave your home, wondering if you left everything safe while you're away? I know I have. Here's the thing with Simply Safe. Like, yes, you want to make sure your kids are safe and your belongings are safe and your house is safe and all that stuff. But also, I feel like when you buy a house, especially as a dude, your job is to like protect it. And if you don't and something happens, you look like such an asshole.
Yeah.
Like if someone's like, oh, you got robbed, like what happened? Your alarm system wasn't working? And you're like, no, I actually just never got one. Everyone's like, you're a dick. Like the dad, the husband, you got to take care of that shit. So even if you think never in your neighborhood, you're never going to be any sort of crime or any sort of bad shit, still go to Simply Safe, get it done, get the protection, because not only does it make sense, but you just don't want to end up being the asshole on the news where it's like, well, actually, he never had any security.
Yep.
So they can show up within 5 seconds, or the Simply Safe agents will act within 5 seconds of your alarm. You'll also never be locked into a long-term contract, so pricing is transparent and affordable at less than $1 a day with no hidden fees, and it's the best home security system by World and News Report. So head over to simplysafe.com. It's SIMPLI safe.com/rundown and start protecting your home today. That's simplysafe.com/rundown. You get 50% off and a free indoor security camera when you get the Fast Protect monitoring system. So half off with free cameras with the Fast Protect monitoring when you go to simplysafe.com. Last story here, this Tufts lacrosse practice has been in the news where they let a former Navy SEAL run their practice, and it led to 12 members of the team being diagnosed with a some disease, something that happens after you have intense exercise that causes your muscles to break down. It can be life-threatening. 5 players were hospitalized. Everyone's dehydrated, passing out, all because of this guy who did Navy SEAL training for this fucking lacrosse team. I think you're kind of the asshole if you do this to yourself. Like, at some point, I understand the dynamic between coach and player. I understand that a Navy SEAL could be intimidating. But if you feel like you're about to die and you just keep running sprints, at some point I think you got to be like, I'm not doing this, coach.
I think it's
definitely on him, but it's
I think it's on the coach the most.
Yeah, for letting
Because the players, I think you're you're kind of just doing what they're telling you to do.
No, but at some point,
like a coach at some point has got to pull the guy and be like, yo, they've had enough.
The Navy SEAL guy was probably hyped. He was like, yeah.
He's supposed to happen. He played lacrosse for the team. He's an alum of the.
Well, this is also something so funny. When you get older, right? Like, I don't know, whatever it is, when you're in your college sports, you realize, or even high school, you're like, why did I take it so serious?
Yes.
Oh, you're no one gives a fuck about Tufts lacrosse. I'll tell you that. And you almost died for it.
Yes.
And it's also lacrosse. You're not going to go anywhere after that.
No, that's it.
You're going to die
as high as it gets, and you're going to kill yourself.
And I get it, because I played D3 baseball, and I was like, this was my life. I was like, I fucking love this team, and no one cares.
Coaches, they do get hard-ons for this kind of shit. I remember varsity football getting in trouble for talking when not supposed to, whatever, and they're having us run laps on the track after. And I remember they said you had to run a lap around the track in 45 seconds. Now, and when you're you're not computing even thinner back then. I could never. I would let my life.
No way.
I remember when they made us do it twice. You had to do it a third time, and I asked him. I was like, if I couldn't do it the first 2 times,
I'm not gonna know.
What makes you think now I can do it? There was never. Which realized then you do in your brain. You're like, wait, 45-second lap. It's a quarter of a mile. That's a pace of a 3-minute mile.
Fucking chance.
They get so they're like, just run.
And they get
so
you're not allowed to
hard
drink
about
water. It's what's the problem with me drinking water, bro?
Yeah.
No, you're not gonna have water when you're in the game. You need shut the fuck up. Let me drink some water.
When coaches do that,
ridiculous. The coach looked at me. It was like, I need you to run a lap around this track in 45 seconds. The Olympic world record is 43.
You got two seconds to spare. What are you complaining about,
But that's such a coach.
I think then he might have changed it to there was a receiver. That's one of my boys. He was like, you 45 seconds, you get 60. Maybe the third time around.
60's insane, dude.
No, that's a 4-minute mile. No chance.
That's crazy.
But those are always the coaches that didn't actually know what they were doing.
No.
They're like, all right, when we lose, you run because that's what will make us better. It's
Yeah.
No.
All right. That's the rundown.